This daf here, Yerushalmi Eruvin, the article Oz edition. We're on daf Samach Aleph Amar Aleph, the fifth line down. Ashkachos Amar, which in the Vilna is on daf Nun Vav Amar Beis, counting from the bottom. 3, 6, 9, 13 lines from the bottom. Okay, so then Gemara says Ashkachos Amar Arba Palgavan. So based on everybody we brought down yesterday, we have four different Tanoim who argue about the issue of Kogagos, or the issue of our parak. The first Tana is, of course, by Meir, who says Kogagos Rishus Achasein. All the Gagos, one Rishus. And then the Korban Ada puts in here the line Chachamim Kol Echad Rishus Latzmo. No, each roof is separate. It's the second opinion. Meir, Chachamim. Then we have Yehuda Meir Chatzer Begagos Rishus Achasein. Yehuda says Chatzeros and Gagos are one Rishus, but not Karpefos. Only Chatzeros and Gagos. And finally we have Rabbi Shimon. Chatzer, Begag, Karpav, the Chatzer, the front yard, the Gag, the roof, the Karpav, the backyards, Achaseim, they're all one. L'kem Shishov, so B'saychon for Kem, which were within them when Shabbos began. For L'kem Shishov, Chabais, not for Kem, which are in the house, if there's no Erev. Rabbi Yochanan, and that's what it says, B'shelo Irvu. That's if there's no Erev. Ava B'shirvu, but if they made an Erev, Nasis Chatzer Kibatim, so then the Chatzer becomes like the houses. Okay, so far so good. You made an Erev, Chatzeros. Vagagos Shus B'Shum, but the roofs remain separate. Okay, so the house is the Chatzer the house, but they can't take to the Gagos. Now, even Rabbi Shimon, according to Rabbi Yochanan, even Rabbi Shimon could say in this case that since the Chatzeros are now to affiliate with the Batim, the Gagos are separate. You can't take from the Chatzeros into the Gagos. Oh, and Rabbi Yehuda as well. Of course, Rabbi Yehuda would say the same thing. Rabbi Yehuda was not as make as Rabbi Shimon, would certainly say you can't take from the Chatzer into the Gagos and vice versa. According to Rabbi Yochanan, where the Chatzeros made the Eruv. Now, Rabbi Zira argues. Rabbi Zira, he irvu, he shelo irvu. Says Karmei irvu shelo irvu. Ben irvu, ben lo irvu. Mechatzagag sharit. Look, we don't make gzer. What gzer do we make? The gzer we would make is that you might come to take kalim from the houses through the chatzah to the gagin. That's Rabbi Yochanan says if the chatzeros were marav of the batim, you can't carry from the chatzeros to the gagin, even the kalim sheshabsu by chatzah. Rabbi Zira says don't make such a gzera. No. Even though the Batim and the Chatzeros made an Eruv, you could still take the Kem, which was Shavsu, by Chatzer, onto the Gag, and vice versa. Okay, next one we're going to go to Reb Chaim, who basically Korban goes like Reb Chaim. So, Masisa Pliga, Al, not Rabbi Zira, like it says in Gemara, but like Al Rabbi Yochanan. What the article changes that? He does. Article changes it. So, Masisa Pliga Rabbi Yochanan. Our Mishnah says Rabbi Yochanan says, "Lo came Shishavos Chabais." It said in our Mishnah that according to Rabbi Shimon, even though allowed to take from the Chatzar to the Gag, you only take kalim which were shavus in the Chatzar to the Gag, not kalim Shishavos Chabais, not kalim which were in the house. So it says more im, and here the word "lo" is taken out by the Reb Chaim. He says it's not in the Ksaviyah, which seems to mean not in the Leiden, and article also takes out im b'shelo irvu. If they didn't make an error between the house and the chotzer, hadar tzricha. You have to tell me that they're not allowed to take from the chotzer to you're not only allowed to take kalim, which was shavus in the chotzer to the gag. It's pashut. You couldn't have the houses which in the house, the kalim in the house, they had no way of getting out. Right, because no Erev. Mean, and here the Chaim makes the change, which having his own changes. It's right, it's Cain here. Lohotzi mean abayis osher. You can't take those kids out of the house, right? Because you didn't make an Erev. Lokoshkin lagag is not a kavachomi. They're not getting out to the gag anyway, right? They're not even getting out to the chutzer. You have to tell me they can't be taken to the gag. It's pashut. That's also changed like Reb Chaim from gag to bayis. So. Again, so if that's the case, clearly it's a right against Rabbi Yochanan. Because what's the Chiddush Mishnah? The Mishnah would not be telling us you can't take kalim from the bias to the gag. It's when there's no Eruv, it's obvious. You say, well, there's an Eruv, and you can't take kalim from the bias to the Chotzer. And nevertheless, we're telling you that you can take Kalim from the Chotzer to the Gag. Just not from the Bais, but you can take Kalim from the Chotzer to the Gag. Okay, so that's even though there's an Eruv. Not like Rabbi Yechanan. So how does Rabbi Yechanan interpret the Mishnah? So Gemara says, Amrei B'Sibun Barkana Kumi Rabbi. No. So according to Rabbi Yechanan, Mishnah is something else. Mishnah not talking about from the Chotzer to the Gag. That's now take from the Chotzer to the Gag. When the Bati made an Eruv, now they take the Chotzer to the Gag. That's Pashut. But the Mishnah is talking about, and the Mishnah is talking about. It's not talking about they came from the Batim out to the from the Batim Chashash from the Batim out to the Gag. I don't know if I even have to say that. Okay, just scratch that last line for the record. The point is, we're talking about Bashir Vazuv now to Uzriv now. So you have two houses, or four houses, whatever it is. You have two chatzeros. You have two houses in this chatzer, two houses in that chatzer, and they each made air by themselves. And now so they have two chatzeros which are equal, right? Each one has an eruv, and they are adjacent to each other. So on that, the Mishnah is going to tell us if you look in lo lekeim sheshav sulusaychoi. I don't think that now, since these Batim are incorporated in this Chotzer, and these Batim incorporated in this Chotzer, and you're allowed to carry from Chotzer to Chotzer, so you're allowed to carry it's as if these came with your Shabbos, Sochabayit to Shabbos, Socha Chotzer, and these came with Sochabayit to Shabbos, Socha Chotzer, and now you can carry from much each other. No, the Mishnah is going to tell us you can't carry from one Chotzer to another Chotzer because they ultimately made independent Eruvin. There's no connection between the two. So when the Mishnah said Lola came to Shabbos Chabayis, it's telling us, and even if you have two chatzeros next to each other, each with its own batim, the kelim still, which came from the batim, cannot go through the chatzer to the next chatzer. They have to remain each other chatzeros. That's it saying. Again, repeat Rabbi Bun Barkana, Kum Rabbi Lo, Shir Vazuvni Atzu. Atzu, I feel, and they could theoretically carry from Chotzer to Chotzer, but Lo, I feel, Kain Lo, Kain Shishavsu, L'Socho, not Kainim which were Shoves in the house, into the Chotzer, and then into the next Chotzer afterwards. And the coordinator actually changed the gear, so I feel, Kain Lo, Kain Shishavsu, L'Socho Bayis, right, into the, they can't be taken from Chotzer to Chotzer. Okay, so Gemara goes on to say, Asi the Shmuel Rav, which says, Shavin Rav Shmuel. This Rav Shmuel agreed. Masni and Tarvai Pli Shitas Rabbi Yochanan, they're both arguing the Shit Rabbi Yochanan. As the coordinator says, again, Bahad Shavin Rav Shmuel, no Sisa Filu B'Shirvu, that you can take from the Chotzer to the Gag, even where they were, the Bais and the Chotzer were Ma'arev. And you don't say, that precludes the taking stuff which is Shavis and Chotzer to the Gag. Or Rabbi Yochanan says it only can take stuff from the Chotzer to the Gag when they made an Eruv. How do we know they made that they hold they can take stuff from the Chotzer to the Gag even where there's an Eruv? I'll tell you, says more. The Tzina we learned, all the Gagos says one Rishus. Shmuel Amar Beis Hasaim. Shmuel says you only get up to Beis Hasaim. Rav Amar Metalim when Afilu crime. Rav says you can carry them even Kuran Kuraim. How does that prove anything? Korban explains nicely. It's kind of about it's kind of about where there was an eruv. Why? If there's no eruv, why are they allowed to carry throughout the gagos? Cry Meir. Oh, at Beis Hasaim, or whether it's Kulo according to Rav or Beis Hasaim according to Shmuel, Neimecho buys Gudasi Mechitza. Let's say each house is separate because the Gudasi Mechitza, the Mechitzas go up. The Imsin look at them out, that would divide them on top as well. If I did Shiva, I must he talk about they make an Eruv. He can't buy Rabbi Shimon Shiva, so Rabbi Shimon also must he talk about where they made an Eruv. And therefore, must he all, since that's not specified as a point of different distinction in the Mishnah. So must he even where they made an Eruv, according to Shimon, Gagos Chatzer, Tzkapei V'Shusachas, so you take from the Gag to the Chatzer, and from the Chatzer to the Gag. So the fact that there is an Eruv, which made them all which united them in some way, shape, or form, doesn't detract from the capacity to take from the chutzner to gag and gag to chutzner. So B'shir Mari must need to Shamina the Pliya Rabbi Yochanan. So must they argue Rabbi Yochanan? Reb Chaim wants to say Rabbi Yochanan. In fact, even if you in those circumstances, you'd not be allowed to carry on the roofs for stuff from the chutzner to the gagos and from the gagos to the chutzner, since they did make an eruv, and the eruv does unite the houses with the chatzeros. So now in the gagos could only be without 4 amos. So they would only work when Rabbi Yochanan in the Mishnah. They can go from roof to roof, and you still won't be able to go 4 amos from roof to roof, like 2 amos in one roof, 2 amos in another roof, where there's no eruv whatsoever, right? So, okay, so that's Rabbi Yochanan have. The set up our Mishnah very differently than Rav and Shmuel. But again, according to Rav and Shmuel, it's got to be there about where there's air, because they can say go from place to place and place to place, even though they're different rishuyos. So mostly there's an Erev, and we see, despite the fact, and the Erev had to be made in the chatzeros in order to get to the gagos. So that we see that you can take stuff from the chutzner to the gag, and gag chutzner according to Shimon, who holds they're all one rishus. Okay, halacha beis. So I have a picture in the Perish Chai here. There's also a picture in the art scroll. But the picture in the art scroll is not as real gifufin. And, not necessarily. Actually, the art scroll does not have real gifufin. So maybe there's the art scroll picture, in fact. Okay, it's better. You have Gag, now the art scroll does say everything is virtual here, right? There are no actual walls on the roofs. But the virtual gifufin here, the virtual gifufin, since it's good asek, as the mechitza goes up, so therefore it's as if you have gifufin short walls on the, which the large chutzner has, and the large gag has, and the small gag does not, because it's parts b'miluo. So you have virtual gifufin, which are the pointed out by the arrows, which are not real. And of course, you have virtual walls around the entire roof as well. Here, the point in the Perish Chai, the virtual gifufin are like those over there, okay, like very thinly shaded areas. So you have gagor, some of the gagor, hagadol mutter. The gadol is allowed to carry because it has 3 walls through gurasek, and the 4th side has gifufin through gurasek. About cotton also because on its 4th side it's complete porous to the large gag. Similarly, chotzer gedolah shivus to ketana, where you have actual walls. So there, gedolah mutaris, the gedolah is mutar because it has the gifuf in the side walls. But ketana asura, the small one is also neshikapischa shel gedolah because it's like the opening of the large one, and of course, as we mentioned earlier in Masechta, and not only that, the Gedolah can in this situation, the Gadol is mutter to carry in the cotton, because it becomes like the Pesach of the Gadol. And the cotton is not have to carry it all, because since it's parts Milua to the Gedolah, it loses its whole status independent chotzer, and therefore the people living in the Ketana, they can't carry it all in their chotzer. So the people in the Gedolah can carry in their chutzner and in the Ketana, because it's as if it's their opening, right? But the people in the Ketana can't carry at all; they're stuck. The article has a picture over here. The Gedolah they can carry both in their chutzner and the other chutzner, which has now become like their Pesach, and kind of they're having gifufim, which makes them mutar, and they can't carry it all because their parts completely here, and therefore they can't even carry in their own chutzner. Now, having said all that, many Mepharshim in the first line of Gemara is contradicting that, explicitly contradicting that. It says, "Masisim oisal gag." You can only carry the gag gadol. Av gag achar also, but now have to carry gag katan. That's how many achronim learn it that way. But that doesn't seem to be the case. But that's the pshat in the Mishnah. So I want to put. So I think the pshat is like this. The unfortunate grave difficulty with this Gemara. I think the pshat is like this. Simple pshat. Yeah, masis bosa gag means the gag gadol can carry the gag katan. But what if you have another gag after that? Have a gag achar aser, not in the third gag. In other words, the gag gadol gets this gag katan because it's Pesach, but doesn't get a third gag. Says Gemara, but that's only kshein shave. Only if they're not equal. In other words, there's no it's not there are no gifufin, they're gifufin, or a rise in height, or gifufin, or even virtual gifufin between Gog number 2 and Gog number 3. So then you can't say Gog number 3 is a continuous Pesach of Gog number of the Gog Gadol, because you have a Gog Katan in between, and there's the Gog, two Gog in Katanim. They don't join up with each other because they're not shavim either. There's they have the gifufin on the side, the virtual gifufin, or there's a difference in height. But avima shave. But if it's equal, in other words, if it's continuous, the two gagos tanim, Gog 2 and Gog 3, so then they both become the Pesach of the Gog Gadol. I think it's a very partial way of learning. I want to point out before we go on to the next part that all this according to Shmuel. Back in Halacha Aleph, which was Nun Vav Amud Aleph in the Vilna, and in the Art Scroll, it was on Samach on the base. So, but according to Rav, you only get 4 amos, right? According to Rabban, at least, you only get 4 amos, and that means that you get the 4 amos, but the 4 amos of the Gadol will extend into the cotton, and the four amos of the cotton, they don't get any extension into the gadol. Okay, so then we talk about a different scenario. Not the whole the gadol carrying entire cotton, but the 4 amos of the cotton not carrying within four amos in itself, and not carrying at all into the gadol. But the simple meaning of this Gemara is that we're going with the assumption that either is going according to Rabbi Meir, that you can carry throughout the Gagos of the city, and it's curtailing it somewhat over here, Gagos when they're Gifufim, or that it's going according to Shmuel, and you can carry throughout, and there's no limitation of 4 amos. But, having said that, must need to plead Shmuel. So, because in the Mishnah it says, it sounds like this happened, the Chatzah Gdolah Nifritzu Ketana happened on Shabbos. And it sounds like when it happens on Shabbos, the Gdolah can now carry into the Ketana. But Shmuel holds that, although it's not put down explicitly, but Shmuel holds, like it says in the Bavli, that Mechitzas, which fell on Shabbos, you only allowed to carry up to the place where the Mechitzas were. Now it's carried beyond that. So therefore, how can the Gdolah carry Ketana if the Mechitzas fell on Shabbos? So it's a plea Shmuel. Chatzah Gdolah Nifritzu Ketana, Hagdolah Muteres Ketana Asura, sounds like even if it fell on Shabbos. So you have to Makam Mechitzas, according to Shmuel, only be able to go to the place where the walls were originally standing. Chevraya Mikra Rabbi Yossi b'Shem Rabbi Yachia. So in order to explain this, Chevraya said name Rabbi Yossi, send Rabbi Yossi and name Rabbi Yachia. Madam Shmuel Shabbos Zu. That Shmuel said you can only carry it to where the mechitzas were. That's for that Shabbos. Madi Masniso Armish Leba Shabbos Haba. If the periods happen on this Shabbos, they're going to carry the Shabbos up to the Mokum mechitzas. But if the situation remains for the next Shabbos, then the Gedolah walk into Ketana can't carry it all. Manakami. So the Gemara asks, well, what are we talking about? If they're all one Erev, the Gedolah and the Ketana, so they're all one large Chatzir as a result. So Beim Shabbos Abayim Mutar. Whether it's this Shabbos, next Shabbos, so should be put to carry all together. Not a problem, right? If they didn't make an Erev at all, Beim Shabbos Abayim, you are certain, but both the Shabbos and next Shabbos, they should be also. Now, Chaim clarifies, if they didn't make an Erev all, even each one separately, they make an Erev. So then, we must talk about here, not Kelim Sheshopsu B'Chotzer, because Kol Chatzer is B'Shus Achas, Kol Gal Shus Achas, to about Kelim Sheshopsu B'Bayis, right? So if there are no Erev whatsoever, then neither Chatzer should be mutter at all, because you can't take anything out from the houses into the Chatzer, right? So if there's no Erev, then nothing's mutter. So if there's Erev, should always be mutter together. Both first Shabbos, second Shabbos. There's no Erev, so they all should be also together. They're both Shabbos. So what are we talking about here? Alexna, as it's written, is very difficult to understand what it is. And I see the article actually changes significantly based on Rashba. The way the article changes it is Maduhu Uvda. So what are we talking? So what are we talking about? I learned it also as a before years ago when it was pre-art scroll, right? So I learned as a question. even as it says it here. That's what it's saying more. Near the Zukusha, Maya Maisa the Masnisin. So Madab Uvda, Hachi Abba Uvda. That was the story. What is the story? What's going on? So we're going to change the Gilsa slightly, and the Gemara is the answer, like Pnei Moshe. Rabun Barkana could be law, right? Bunkan said if I be law, each one made its own Eruv. So therefore, each one can carry from the houses into the Chotzer, into the Gag. I feel okay. Nevertheless, Gedol Muteres, the Gadol is mutter. Why? Shanifetza, but the Pnei Moshe changed it. Shaloni Fetza b'Milua, and it's mutter because it's not parts b'Milua, and therefore on that Shabbos, Shmuel says, okay, it's mutter till it's mechitzos, where it's mechitzos stood. Next Shabbos can be mutter even in the Ketana itself, but that Shabbos mutter in itself because it still retains mechitzos. So the mutter into where the mechitzos went. Uktana Asura, the Ketana is Asur, why not Shalonif to Milua, but Shanif to Milua. Ketana can't carry it all because it's complete parts. So therefore, it can't carry even on that first Shabbos. So, and the second Shabbos, of course, it can't carry. The Gdol, if it remains that way, then the Ketana can't carry it all. But the idea is that that first Shabbos, yes, Shmuel holds that the Gedola can carry until Ikar Mechitzas because there's still Mechitzas left. And the Ketana can't carry it all because it can't become complete parts. And saying complete parts, it becomes completely Asur. Okay, Halacha Gimel. Chotzer, Shenifat Shus Arabim. Okay, it's a pretty straightforward case, but you have a Chotzer which developed a pierced to Rishus Arabim. You have here the Chotzer. And here's Rishus Rabbim. There used to be a wall here. It fell down. Here's Rishus Rabbim. The space of the wall is going to be significant. That's why there's a dotted line there. Okay, so the Chotzer, which became part of Rishus Rabbim. Hamachti tol Rishus Yachid or Rishus Yachid Tocha Chayav. So he takes from that Chotzer into Rishus Yachid or Rishus Yachid in that Chotzer. It's Chayav. Dib Rabbi Lezer. He considers the Chotzer now to be part and parcel of Rishus Rabbim. Chachamim said, Potter, they should come. He says, no. It's Potter Aval Aser. It's not Rishus. This Chotzer is, it's going to be like Karmelis. So it's Potter Aser, both to take from that Chotzer. And Karmelis says, let's read Karmelis. Potter Aval Aser, Lab Rishus Rami, El Karmelis, Uhiv, Uadim, Tol Rishus Yochid. So if they go from either from that Chotzer to Rishus Rami or to the Rishus Yochid is Potter Aval Aser. Okay. So the Gemara qualifies, according to Rabbi Zika, Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Misher Mechina, Lom Rabbi Lezer Elim Mokum Mechitzos. Let's not say the whole Chotzer becomes the Rishus Rabbim. Only the place where the Mechitza was standing and now fell. And also, an additional condition. B'shenit l'rosh yesivos mitzvahs mikan mikan. When the corners of the Mechitza have been taken away as well. So, article has a picture here. So it's a picture of Chaim, but this is a picture of the article. Maybe it's looking at Chaim afterwards. It's when we're talking about this area here where the Mechitza was originally standing. And we're also talking about where the opposite the walls also there are no Mechitzas. So then, this area is tougher to Rishus Rabbim because there are no remaining walls which its wall fell and in the opposite the corners fell, so there's nothing to set this off as being separate from Rishus Rabbim. So that place among Mechitzos is now part of Rishus Rabbim. It's tougher to Rishus Rabbim. Now the Chutz itself has 3 walls still, right, on the back and the 2 sides. But the area, the Mokum Mechitzos, where the Kerens of Eos are taken as well, so then, in that case, it's no longer at all separate from the Rishus Rabbim. The Kanevsky's picture is a little bit more simple. Gets the point, right? All that area over there is the area I'm talking about, the Mokum Mechitzos and Nitlu Karnios Zevios as well. They're also missing. Anyway, has a cryptic additional requirement here. It says Ubilvad Barba. So according to most of the Farshim, means that area where the Mechitza is now missing has to be 4 tvachim wide. If it's less than 4 tvachim wide, it's insignificant and it's not Batzah Rishus Rabbim. It's a very difficult concept. Chaim Kevsky gets for it's a Mokum tour, and therefore, even though it seemed to have totally flush, it's just a rabbim. So I'm not sure why we would say that, but it's still like it's still, since it doesn't have chashivas, it's not chashiv enough to be tough as just a rabbim. Very difficult. The Shadar says takes out this whole gear, so he takes out and says this whole line here. B'shin Rosh Yeshiva Zavios Mikan Barba. It's really a typo. It's somebody put it in here from the copying the line before the next Mishnah. But Yerushalmi Eruvin says neither Rosh Yeshiva Kan, although there it says Baba B'Shaveh. But he says this is superfluous here, so which would make life a lot easier. But that was Reb Chaim's second shot. Reb Chaim has the first shot, which I think is much more glad. He's saying it's going on, although it's more difficult in language. Says it's going on the chutzner. It's what's left inside the chutzner, between the three extant walls. Saying that which, according to Abelazar, that he's moided, that's a karmelis, and that's not tafel to shus rabim. That only the Mokum Mechitzos is tafel shus rabim, not the place beyond the Mokum Mechitzos. It's only if there's 4 tefachim left in that area of the chutzner, right? In this, so the 4 tefachim, according to this, not like the article where the 4 tefachim is going on the place where the wall was, right? But the 4 tefachim is going on the area inside here. This has to be at least 4 tefachim. Otherwise, it too is going to be tafel to the Rishus Rabbim and become part of Rishus Rabbim according to Abelazar. So in other words, the most that's probably about Sili Mokum Mechitzos, where from where the Mokum Mechitzos was to the side of the house, there's 4 tefachim. At least 4 tefachim left. There's 4 tefachim left, then the whole chotzer in a chanami becomes batel to the Rishus Rabbim. Zira Rabbi Ila Tervein Armin. The word Osir Mashbiach takes it out, but he has a whole different shot here. But you can either take it out or leave it there. Osir Shlom Mokum Mechitza. In other words, even according to Abelazar, the whole thing, even the chotzer itself, becomes part and parcel of Rabbin, not just the Mokum Mechitza. And that's Abelazar. But Mokum Mechitza, the place in the Mechitzas where I feel Rabbanim Moedu. In Rabbanim Moedu, that now becomes part of Rishus Rabbim. Okay, so that's since that area is 2 adjacent to Rabbim. Even according to Rabbanan, it becomes part and parcel of Rishus Rabbim. Okay, the Gemara is going to discuss this further, but I think we're going to stop here because we got to Samech Beis Amud Aleph. Yeah, we got up to the bottom of Samech Aleph on Beis. No, let's go a little bit further. Let's see get to the Mishnah. Rabbi Zimni said, Zimni Sakin Pashis Rabbi Yaakov Barbun. I made times I was on Rabbi Yaakov Barbun. This still give Lo Shamitz Minei Domils. I didn't hear what he said that the whole Malach is about Mokum Mechitzos. That they only worry about that place where the walls of which he's standing. Amarlei, so he said to him, I guess, who was speaking back then? And the Mepharshim learn that Rabbi Zrika and Rabbi Zrika are not the same person. They didn't pay attention. Rabbi Zrika said in Rabbi Yaakov Barbun that there was Mokum Mechitzos. So in this, Rabbi Zrikon said, Rabbi Zrikon, Zim B'Sagim P'Shim Rabbi Yaakov Barbun, Amalei. So Rabbi Zrika said to Rabbi Zrikon, so what? There's a person out here saying which their friend didn't hear. I heard it. You didn't hear it. I heard it from Rabbi Yaakov Barbun. You happen not to hear it. Okay. I think there's some other girsa here. The Chilva Girsa's Bureau. The article brings it down, and I saw somebody else also says it that the name seems to be a Pnei Moshe that there's Amalei Ahum Rabban Rabbi Zrikon. Okay, that Rabbi Zrikon is Rabbi Zrikon, and so it was a Rabbanan was telling Rabbi Zrikon, and Rabbi Zrikon responded. But then he says he found that to find in the Brachos Perek Zayin Halacha Hey, there are 2 Chachamim named Rabbi Zrikon, the same generation. one was married to the sister of the other one. Okay, so it could be that Rabbi Zrikon and Rabbi Zrikon were both, they had similar names. Even could have been both had names Zrikon. And it's a chesed. The Yerushalmi differentiates one with an Aleph, one with a Nun. Okay, but in any event, so either is the two Rabbi Zrikons, and one's called Zrikon, one's called Zrikon, or there was, you put in a Ahum Rabbanan, and I think that's the name Moshe does. Okay, but be as it may. Rabbi Yerushalmi Rav said, and now we understand Shach Torah Yisrael because it almost sounds like it's a new thing which is coming in here, which we didn't discuss before. B'shnita Rashi Vaziras Mikan Milkan Uva B'Shaveh. That it's about Nidul. He seems that he before really he didn't have to have Nidul Rashi Zabios, and and Baba Arba also wouldn't be superfluous. Now we introduce Nidul Rashi Zabios Mikan Milkan. Uva B'Shaveh. What's B'Shaveh mean? B'Shaveh means that those Gidudim which are left should be completely flushed to the ground. In other words, they're totally raised. There's nothing whatsoever left of them. If there's something left of them, so then then it would not be Batel Tush Rabim, even the Malka Mechitzis, according to Rebbe Lezer. Okay, so either we didn't have it before, the Shach Torah so says, or he's qualifying further, that it has to be raised completely to the ground. And that will stop.